Hi, Danhausen here, very nice, very evil, and we're welcoming you to the Potsy and Danhausen show.
Yes.
Correct?
No, it's the Potsy and Tino show.
No, Potsy and Danhausen show, and we pay my royalties.
Absolutely.
Okay? Like, subscribe, comment, and watch it. You better be watching it because we're already here for the cast.
The Potsy and Tino show. Talk the facts and let opinions flow. Laughs, hot takes, and maybe a rant. Two best buds with a mic and a plan.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Danhausen will not be here. He's in the bathroom or something. I don't even know where he went. He like was here and then he just jumped out. Our theme song, as always, is the new theme song, but we always want to give that positive moment to the Adams House Cat for the Wrestling song. Tonight, Tino is on vacation. He is down at the beach, and because of that, I am bringing in another buddy because, like I said, Danhausen's in the bathroom or something. I don't know where Danhausen is. I know that he's looking for a contract with a certain company, but because of that, we're going to bring in my buddy Junior Radke, the artist and co-owner of Dread Mutt, and
Potsy and Tino Fungus, because you had me on once and now I just can't stop popping up.
Did you say that
Must
Potsy
be heavy
and
rains
Tino
around these
Fungus?
podcast parts.
Did you
fungus.
say fungus?
Fungus. I'm a fun guy.
You are a fun guy. But Junior, I always start the show with Tino. We always start with a little segment we call "What's Up with You." So I want to know, because Michael Jr.'s also Michael Turner's also asking, what is up with you?
What up, Michael?
So why don't you go ahead and start the show? Last week, Angry Lemonade, sir, you invaded the show.
Yeah.
But this week, what is going on with you, sir?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, what's up, Michael? It was fun hanging with you in the comments last week. I fashioned my name to try to fill just a small part of the void that Tino leaves by not being here. I hope that I can rise to the occasion. I can fulfill such a large shadow, and that's not a racist remark, by the way. And
as long as you are a bald guy with a beard, you can take Tino's place, apparently. So it's all right.
Well, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to get a chance to rap with you. Most of our conversations are through Instagram DM these days. So anytime I get to flex the voice, it's a wonderful thing. But anyway, as far as what's up with me, we had the 4th of July weekend this past weekend. I know you got some stuff to talk about with that. And then I had my first in-store signing for Dread Mutt #1. I was able to go down, and I was invited by Nirvana Comics down here in Knoxville. And spent the day there. And the day went by fast. I was there from 11 to 7. So I opened the store and I closed the store down. And a lot of great people came through. A lot of people showed some interest in the book. Sold a lot of sketch cards, which was nice. Funny enough, the most popular version of the book was your cover. I hate to say that too. I mean, we all know the ego on the man next to me here, but that cover was a hit. And I even did my second ever remark on one of those covers.
I want one, by the way. I want one.
Okay. Well, you know where to find me. But
I don't know if I can afford it, but I'll tell you what. How about I do a remark on your cover, you do a remark on my cover, and we. Well,
trade. Your cover is a whole lot easier to do a remark on because mine's pretty dark, unless you do it on the rough cut. But it was fun, man. I did my second ever sketch cover there. and I did a sketch cover to give to the host store as a thank you for having me there. And he seemed all jazzed about that. His name's Grant, great guy. Um, but overall, it was a really positive experience. Couldn't believe 7 o'clock came as quickly as it did, and yeah, it's just it's been great. It was a great week.
Would you say that you actually signed like in terms of the amount of people that walked through that you signed a like more copies than you intended to?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if I sold one and signed one, that would have been great. My expectations are non-existent as far as what I'm hoping to move. I'm just a baby in the business, so just getting any kind of attention, I think, is a wonderful thing.
Now I do want to point out that a couple people actually posted pictures to me to sit there and say that their comic shops were actually doing it. What made it funny was I had talked to you about how my buddies at Dragon's Lair were going to be like promoting the comic and everything else. And I sent you a picture from a comic book store called Dragon's Lair, but it
Right.
wasn't my buddy's Dragon's Lair. It was San Antonio, Texas,
Yeah.
and they had a display of our comic. Like it wasn't even
Yeah.
just like a copy; it was like a display of the
Yeah.
book. Right?
That's pretty cool.
Pretty awesome.
All of the different covers side by side. I mean, it'd be very difficult to miss if you were walking looking for new releases. So that was really cool.
You know, anytime I see that kind of thing on Instagram, I always try to sit there and call them out, put it on my story. Also sit there, put it in my actual like, hey, this shop has it. Go to it, do whatever. But there was that one. There was a couple other ones. My buddy Mike Rosenzweig actually posted to me that a shop in New York put us on the top shelf, which
Yeah.
apparently in that specific store, if you were a top shelf comic, you're something that everybody's looking at. And I don't know if you noticed, but the way that last copy seemed to be flopping over,
Yeah.
it seemed like whatever else they had of Dread Mutt had already been gobbled up.
Yeah. I mean, one could hope. I even saw a photo of somebody with a copy of Dreadmutt that was located in, I think, Spain.
Really?
So, yeah, I posted that to my stories. So I'm hoping that that's the case. I mean, I'm kind of dumb, so I could have misread it. It could have been Spain, Texas, or Spain, Georgia, or something. I don't know. But no, it's been great, and my experience so far, both with the Heroes Con and then with the day signing, it really kind of seems like anybody that opens the book, if they pick the book up and they open it, they buy it. They see something or they read something that they like, and they grab it. So that's been very encouraging. It's not like I've seen people pick it up, flip through it, and go, not for me. Just about everybody I've seen who's taken a chance to even look at it has picked it up, which has been awesome.
And I gotta say, like everybody we've really had the opportunity to speak to about it has been like, I want that. Like it's crazy to me because oftentimes comic book either hits an audience or it doesn't hit an audience. But everybody that I've talked to, when I sit there and I go, do you like 80s action, comedy, action movies like Steven Seagal or Jean-Claude Van Damme or, like any of those guys' movies? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, then you might want to check this out because it does this, this, and this. And as soon as I say that, they're like, I want one. And in fact, when we were at Heroes Con, like, let's be honest, we were talking about some other books with people. And as soon as I would sit there and say, do you like 80s action movies? Immediately, they would go from the other spot that I was talking about and walk over to what we were selling, whether or not it was what's going on, Southpaw. Rob Paw, you met him at the show.
Oh
He
yeah.
read he read Dreadmutt. He was drawing different things at the show, like right around the corner from us. But literally, when they would walk down to that section of the books that it was either Dreadmutt or it was Died Hard, and every single person in that group was like, "Yeah, I want that, and I want all of those."
Yeah.
And it's because there isn't enough of that, right?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, when you look at action movies now, the market for action movies seems to have really shrunk as far as the industry's viewpoint on it. They are making action movies with smaller budgets aimed at smaller demographics. They're not really taking a chance to put them out there unless it's like a John Wick, which is a proven entity at this point. But even
Well, I even think that based on what you're saying there, that action movies have always had small budgets. It was you pay for the big name that's going to be in it, Jean-Claude or Steven Seagal or Chuck Norris or whomever, and then from there it was, hey, here's your $47,000 to make a movie.
Right. Here's your bubble gum and some tinfoil and go MacGyver it.
Yeah, and we're all out of bubble gum. So I mean, you know how it is. But anyway, you feel that what you've taken in from Dreadmutt has been better than anticipated?
Oh, without a doubt. My expectations, like I said, were next to nothing. Of course, you and I have had private conversations where there's been trepidation and stuff. It's like, are people going to like it, whatnot? But I've been pleasantly surprised. Like I said, anybody that's taken a chance on it has picked it up. Now, whether or not they get it home and they read it and then they wind up hating it afterwards, I have no idea. I'm waiting to hear some feedback. So far, the only feedback I've gotten from those that have checked it out and read it, cover to cover, they're all ready for number 2. They want to see number 2. So, I was telling you, with the goodwill that it feels like we've built, not only from Heroes, but then also from the signing and the more people that get to learn about it, the bigger that fire under my keister gets to get that second one done as soon as possible.
Pretty big keister, folks.
It's got to be a bit. It's growing into a pretty sizable flame. Yeah, that's true.
But truth is that, like, you and we talked about this right after the show, that there was some worry, there was some feel like the imposter syndrome, if you will, and I told you, don't buy into that. Like, wait until the book's out, see how it does. And I'll tell you, there aren't a lot, and I don't know why there aren't a lot of Instagram posts of New Comic Book Day, but the ones that we see, we have good placement.
Mm-hmm.
The book is selling. People have been messaging me saying, "Hey, picked it up. It's awesome. I appreciate it." It's one of those things where I'm pleasantly happy that we got the start we did, because I don't even think the book has actually hit its stride in the first issue.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, and a lot of that was my fault, but one of those things where it's like, rookie comic book artist has a little bit too much fun, throwing a little bit too much in there. But what it's done is it's created the second chapter is going to be just nothing but go. So I will say this, when I showed up to my signing, unfortunately my comic book shop hadn't received their copies yet, but I got a note from Grant saying that they received them yesterday. So If anybody was there at Nirvana Comics on Wednesday and didn't pull the trigger, then it's available now. So go check it out.
And you know what, Junior, I would actually tell you, hey, go back to Grant, say, hey, do you want me to sign any of the copies? Do you want to do anything like that? You know, because I know he's got an in with CGC and all that stuff. So
Right.
do that. But also, I've already said it to you privately. If Grant wants to do a signing with both you and me, let him know that I'm absolutely willing and ready to come out there, and we can do an issue 1 and issue 2 signing when issue 2 comes out. That way he gets that big bolstering, like, hey, both of these guys are going to be here. Let's advertise it a month in advance and keep advertising it. Let's do all of that, you know, because I mean, the book is getting some pretty good reviews. Like, I haven't seen anybody sit there and say that they don't like it.
Right.
You know. On top of that, though, let's get back into some of the other stuff. What was your July 4th like? And all the way up until now, like last week through now.
Sure.
Obviously, Tino's not here, so I'd love to hear from you what you've been doing with your family.
Well, you know, we're in the process of receiving a commercial DTF printer for our shop. So that's been the main focus of as far as like what we've been doing around the house.
DTF printer means direct to
Film.
Film printer.
Right. So it's a more modern technology. It's very good quality. A lot of people, you know, they say, oh, like iron-ons. It's similar to that. It's a more advanced version of that. But as long as you prep the image right and you create negative space so that the natural color of the shirt can come through, can't even feel it, but you're not limited on your color gamut. So like with screen printing, you're limited on how many colors you can get before it starts becoming astronomically expensive. With DTF, you can get just a couple and full color, and you're good to go. So we've been prepping for that, and then 4th of July.
Do you mind me? Do you mind me stopping you for a second?
Stop. Get your shit.
Well, I mean, you're informing people of a lot of information here. Does this mean that we may see some really awesome Dreadmutt designs and maybe even some other, like maybe a Zor or some of the other Potsy Comics designs coming out from the Angry Lemonade Foundation of stuff?
Well, I would say the likelihood of me having a place where people can go on angrylemonade.net to purchase merchandise that is related to our comic properties is a very good one. I'll just say that. You know, we're going to be in the process of, you know, establishing that aspect of the business. We've got some other things coming in. And if you were at Heroes Con and you saw like the tumblers that I did, or the drinking glasses that I did, the hats that I made, then you know you're gonna get a good idea of some of the things you can expect to see on angrylemonade.net here in the short future, in the not too distant future.
I do want to go ahead and thank our buddy BJ Kicks for wearing the Dreadmutt hat as he explained all of the merch and everything that he got from Heroes Con. Very well played. 18,000 subscribers sitting there seeing BJ put on that hat. And then him and his daughter came and visited me during my Dreadmutt signing. So,
nice.
So very cool. His daughter, she's really good, man. She sat there the entire 6 years old, right?
Okay.
I think she's 6. She sat there and she was like, what's that? And I said, that's my blue line pencil. That's what I sketch things out with. And she goes, I don't have one. And I said, do you want one? And she's like, I want one. And so I gave her the smallest one I had because it fit her hand the best.
Very good justification. It's
So
not
she
because
took that.
you don't want to give her a brand new one.
And then about 7 or 8 minutes later, her walking around trying to get her dad to buy her another book.
Yeah.
She comes back and she goes, I want that one, because she saw me drawing with an actual mechanical pencil. And I said,
oh,
and I'm like, but you need the blue one. You don't have one of those. Her dad was even like, you don't have a blue pencil. You've got this, and that. And he's like, we'll buy you the other one. She goes, but I want that one. So she traded me back my blue line pencil for a mechanical pencil. And I was like, I can't say no. I can't.
Well, hopefully, I mean, you're planting a seed. I mean, she's already living in a house that's going to have some comic book influence. And here you are, as a reader, here you are as a maker, so you could have just inspired her to become a future comic book artist with whom you can co-create a property with.
Or I just created a complete scam artist who sits there and gets everything they want by doing that whole thing where it's like, let's see what I can get by taking this pencil and trading it as many times as I can to see what I get out of it.
Yeah, like the paperclip guy to a house.
Exactly. And yet somehow she traded my own pencil back to me
for
another pencil.
Yeah, no, a mechanical pencil.
A mechanical pencil with an eraser
and blue lead in it.
No, it didn't have blue lead. That
one did. Okay.
No, it was an actual mechanical pencil.
Yeah, I don't know about you, like with pencils. I get kind of attached. I have a 100%. I have a mechanical pencil that I like to sketch everything out with. Most people, a pencil is a pencil is a pencil. But it's one of those things where, like, I'm not giving you this one, but I'll give you one of the ones I don't use. That's
kind of the way that I was looking at it. And to be honest with you, like I had like 3 of the same kind of mechanical pencil.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I only pulled one out of my little baggie that I've got them. So I was like, when all of a sudden she was like, but he gave me this one. And her dad BJ was sitting there like, he needs that pencil so he can draw.
Right.
And she's like, but he gave it to me. And like it was like a 10-minute conversation between the two of them because he was trying to get me my pencil back. And I was like, BJ, it's fine. It's fine. I can buy another Pentec mechanical pencil. I don't care, Pentel or whatever it is. I was like, go ahead.
Kids are
and he's like,
they're devious.
But that little girl, she was like the whole time.
Well, she's got your number now. Next time she's going to ask for money.
Well, I also, surprisingly enough, I drew her sketch, right?
Yeah.
And she had walked to a different part of the store and was trying to get her dad to buy one of those golden books, but it was a Lilo and Stitch golden book.
Okay.
So she came up to me and she's like, can you draw me something? And I was like, well, I'll draw you Stitch. So I started drawing Stitch. And all of a sudden I get done and she goes, that doesn't look like Stitch. And I'm like, who are you? You're 6.
Yeah. Well, I had an experience at Heroes Con where this family was coming around and this kid.
I think I remember the family, but go ahead.
Yeah, so this kid came up and is like, "Are you an artist?" I'm like, "Yeah." Can you draw me?
Kind of.
Kind of. My mom says I'm an artist, uh, and I'm like, "Yeah." Oh, can you draw me something? Well, sure. Can you draw me? Can you give me a piece of paper so you can draw me something? I'm like, I don't have any paper. Well, what are these? Well, these are my blank sketch cards. I draw on these to sell them so I can make some money so that the show doesn't devastate me financially and I can afford to continue to feed my child when I get home. And so
I love that entire that entire explanation, by the way.
yeah. Well, and so he's like, okay, well, how about this? He hands me like a little circular sheet of paper. Can you draw me the Straw Hat Goofy from One Punch? And I'm like, I can draw it the best I can from memory. Okay. And so I drew 2 circles, a smiling mouth, and I just etched in some wheatgrass for the hat. I'm like, there you go. Because they weren't going to buy anything from me, and this kid was like really entitled. You know, I will give the shirt off my back to a little child that is kind of like overwhelmed and like doesn't really know what to make of everything. I always try to keep like buttons or enamel pins or stickers
Sure.
on me that I can give out to little kids with no expectation in return. But this kid was demanding. This kid was like, you know, expectant, and I'm like, I gotta reward that, you know. So
Well, you know, I kind of feel like it's a similar but different situation to BJ's child. BJ's child didn't know that she was being demanding. So, and she was cute. So, of course, we're all sitting there like trying
right,
to give her little things. So
right,
I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything at the moment. I'll sit there and I'll doodle stitch and I'll do this. And the little girl took my stitch sketch, which I colored in with my blue line pencil. And then she took a pencil and just drew all
you're right.
over it.
Yep,
Totally fine. I
yeah,
don't care. I'm ecstatic that she still took the drawing home with her. You
yeah.
know, like do I know exactly how to draw Stitch? No. Did it look like Stitch? Yes. But you know what I mean.
Not according to her.
Well, I think it was because she wanted to add all these other things to the drawing. So she's just.
That's when you say, I'm giving you the bare bones so that you can put your own artistic style on it.
Well,
You
I
can,
almost didn't color it in so that she could. What's up, Mr. Helios?
Helios.
We missed you. We missed you out in Charlotte 2 weeks ago. And as you can see, Tino has gotten quite a different bit of color.
Yeah, that skin bleaching really works, you know.
I mean, you're bald like him. You're wearing the glasses. The only thing you need is an ECU or a Carolina hat, and I mean, like,
Never
you
gonna
fit
happen.
right in.
Never gonna happen.
No,
That's
totally
where
fine.
I draw the line.
I, you know what? I respect that. So Junior, your family over July 4th.
Yeah, so for July 4th we didn't do much. You know, we live in like a little neighborhood, and we were able to see quite a few skybound fireworks, you know, around our neighborhood. And to be honest, this might turn some people off. I'm just not a big fan of going and buying fireworks. I'm not a big fan of spending money on fireworks because I think that the investment that you make is not greater than or equal to the entertainment value that you get back, unless you set someone on fire. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not allowed to do that. So what's the point?
Not legally.
If
Not legally.
if I can't take a Roman candle and aim it straight at my kid and fire it off, and if she can't aim one at me and have us, you know, go until one of us is left in a pile of cinder, then what is the frickin' point? You know? So we don't really do. I mean, I said, hey, if you want to get some sparklers, you want to get some of those like snappy pop things. I don't know what they're called. Then go for it. But we wound up going over to her friend's house who has a birthday party the first Saturday after 4th of July. So it just so happened to be the day after. And they have the whole family get together. They've got extended family that comes out. They've got a lot of friends of the family that come out. We've been going there for the last 4 years. And they have a pond on their property, and they shoot off a big fireworks show. So, we got our fireworks in and a few mosquito bites to add to the collection. But overall, it was a fun time.
I want to let everybody know that Danhausen just told me that he's still not ready to be on camera.
Is he still in the bathroom?
He's. You know what? I'm not going to say that because I don't want to upset the man. He is definitely a high profile person. Apparently,
make sure you stop toilet paper in there when you're done. All right. Make sure you don't step on any teeth.
Okay, I'm just asking that he turns the fan on, as he leaves.
Please.
So
his diet, some of his vlogs, man, that guy does not eat well.
Well, I'll say this: I'm a huge fan of him, and the fact that he realizes that when Tino's not going to be here, it's the Potsy and Danhausen show. It's not the Danhausen and Potsy show. It is the Potsy and Danhausen show still. So we'll leave it at that. But Danhausen, you take your time. You're good. You're good. Don't just keep taking your time.
Hey, remember to what?
Yeah. Front to back. But so Junior, my July 4th weekend was something to behold, and we've gone half an hour already, and we haven't even gotten to this. I drove down with a buddy of mine named Johnny on Thursday, which was the day before July 4th. Didn't realize that Johnny was staying about 40 minutes further south than I was. So okay. I drove him all the way down to where he was going. Got all the way there. And, as a mid-40-something-year-old guy, like, I get there and I'm like, I need to pee. Like, I was amazed I made it the almost 4-hour drive without having to go pee.
You didn't stop at all?
No.
Wow.
No, I could see the yellow.
Yeah.
In the eyes. I was like, okay, I'm full. I need to, like, I'm almost above full. I need to go. And I don't even mind saying this at this point in life. Like, I don't care. What am I gonna do? I'm wearing a Predator with Kittens t-shirt. Like, who cares?
Next subject, hemorrhoids. We're gonna get into it.
I don't even start me on that. But I drop him off and I call my sister and I'm like, hey, I'm about 25 minutes away from you. Turns out it was like 40 minutes away, even though we literally were like 8 miles away.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's just because it's one road and it's all the traffic in the world July 4th weekend on this same road. So I started doing I'm smarter than this. I'm going to look and see what other roads I can go down, side roads. And by the way, I cut like 10 minutes off the ride.
Okay. All right.
I was impressed. And my buddy Johnny, who rode with me, sat there and said, hey, 2 days later, there was this massive accident and there was all this shit going on. And the person I was in the car with, my friend Kim, who is a former New York City police officer, was like, I'm not sitting through all this bullshit. What do we do? And he goes, hey, my buddy Rob took this road, and so she did it, and she cut 10 minutes out of her ride.
Nice.
So cool thing right there. this weekend, I got to be honest, I had a blast. I absolutely had a blast. I spent it with my mom, my dad, my brother, my nephew, and my sister and brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is probably my best friend in the entire world, Shane, and I talk about him quite a bit on the show. I got to their place on Thursday, so the day before the 4th, and it was like, well, what are we going to do? And they're like, you want to go to the beach club? Okay, sure. The beach club is basically like they pay their registration fees and whatever. You get to go to the pool for their neighborhood, which is literally a block off the beach. So if you wanted to go to the beach, you can just walk out and go to the beach. But most of the people just sit there, go to the pool, and go to the bar. So we did that. That was great. The next day, we're like, all right, what are we going to do today? And they're like, oh, we should totally go back to the pool and do that. They all want to go to the beach on July 4th, want to go to the beach and everything. And I'm like, my stomach hurts. So I'm like, I'm not going to the beach. Like, I'll stay home. My dad, who's handicapped, I'm like, I'll stay with dad, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. No big deal. Stay with my dad. Everything's fine there. And then when everybody gets home at like 1:30 in the afternoon, it's suddenly like, there's a tropical storm. One step below a fucking hurricane.
Oh, wow.
And nobody anticipated this.
There was no warning or anything.
No. Nobody even thought that this was going to be a thing. So for the next 2 days, there was a fucking tropical storm.
Oh.
Tropical Storm Chantal.
Was that the name?
That was its name.
Okay.
So it got named. If it
name, yeah, pretty strong.
If it had been angry, it would have become a hurricane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's what's funny. We're driving down the road in the car, and it keeps saying, your trip may be obstructed by Tropical Storm Chantal. Like that's what the Google Maps keeps saying to my brother-in-law Shane.
Wow.
And he's like, we know. And so he actually even said, okay, Google, how about you tell me like what to do? And I just said, okay, Google, and my phone is actually trying to do it now. He said, okay, tell us how to avoid Tropical Storm Chantal. And of course it says, I don't know how to do that. Right?
You can't.
Can't do it. You're in South Carolina, you're dealing with it. Whatever. But I sit there and I say something like, what's going on with this shit? So Sunday, it becomes a tropical depression.
Oh.
Right? So like you just thought there, I was like, oh, it cried out too much rain. Like what caused it to become a tropical depression? Like is it upset it didn't become a hurricane?
It didn't live up to its own expectations.
Like I love the fact that you took the same approach I did, because I literally was like, oh, you're such a good boy trying to be a Chantal.
Come on, Chantal, you can do it. You can be a hurricane if you want to.
You can still be a hurricane. Just get back in the water. You know, like
go out there, rub a little, smack it on its ass, rub a little dirt on it, and go. Come on, you can do it.
You just go back in the ocean. You can spin back up. You'd be good to go.
Yeah.
No, not gonna happen. Apparently, drove all the way back here. Perfectly blue skies. The entire time I was in South Carolina, having to hang out with my family.
Right.
fucking hurricane weather.
Yeah.
And by the way, put on a screen door and had to build a screen for their outdoor area while I was there.
So you're there on what is essentially a vacation, a holiday vacation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you get to go nowhere. You get one day going to the beach and the bar, and then the rest of the time they're putting you to work.
Well, yes, but I'll tell you this. I've gotten to the point where the way I look at it is this. If my brother-in-law was doing that all by himself, which, by the way, my brother, my nephew, my mom, my dad, were all there too.
Right.
My brother-in-law was going to do that by himself regardless.
Okay.
And like I said, he's like my best friend, right? So do I help him do it and cut the time down in half?
Absolutely.
Or do I let him do it by himself and then I don't get to hang out with him?
No, you can
And
just
you're
sit
like,
there and drink while he does it.
Well, we went to this place called the Stupid T-Shirt Factory, right? And one of the T-shirts in the Stupid T-Shirt Factory said my hourly rates.
Yes.
And it said, if I'm working on your stuff, $50 an hour.
Yeah.
If you ask me about your stuff, $75 an hour.
Yeah.
If you try to tell me how to do it, $125 an hour. So I told my brother-in-law after the fact, because we'd already built the door and done the other, you totally should have worn that shirt yesterday because of all the people trying to tell you how to do it. Like, I wasn't actually telling them how to do anything, except I was the one reading the instructions. So me reading the instructions isn't telling him how to do something. It's, this is how we're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
So he didn't look at it like that. But everybody else going, did you try doing blah, 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 blah?
You know, that takes me back about, what time is it now? It's about 30 minutes or so, maybe 40
We're
minutes.
about 40 minutes in. We're about 40 minutes in.
You know,
We can go all night, by the way. I don't have a like Tino is normally the one going, I gotta be in bed by like 10:04.
Well, I do have to be up in the morning so I can take my daughter to work, but still, I jump on this thing. You invite me to be on the show. I plug everything in. I join the link.
Oh, here we go.
I can't hear you. And then I start resorting to texting you saying, you know, could it be something on your end? And you sit over there saying, not on my end. I've got all my stuff figured out. And then after I have tried different earpods, different devices, different browsers, what happened?
He did okay. He did, Junior did figure out that it was my fault. 100% my fault. And the reason why is because whatever was coming through my personal computer yesterday caused me to turn off the sound, and Junior could not be heard through it. 100% my fault. I absolutely apologize to you and to the Potsy and Tino Nation because it 100% was my fault.
All right, now this is the question. I've got a question for the chat. All right, chat. Because it was Potsy's fault, 100%. You heard it from his words. Should he be forgiven? All right. A 1 is a yes. A 2 is a no. And if it's a no, then we need to come up with some kind of a punishment. Because
but we were still online by 8:15, which is start time for the show.
Were we?
We were.
Okay. All right.
Because
Well,
it is 9:05 and we've been on for 45 minutes, so we were actually on 5 minutes early.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I still say we should have a vote on if you should be forgiven or not.
Folks, you obviously know that I do this every week.
Plead your case. Yes.
At some point, I Mr. Helios, shut up. You just want to be the host of my show. But I was talking to Tino about this last week. I want to point this out. Tino, I announced that this, by the way, is the 415th episode of the Potsy and Tino show. Now, that does not mean that Tino has been on every episode.
Right.
But Potsy has been on every single episode.
Tino has been on every watchable episode, is what you're saying.
Probably.
Hey, Tino, if you're watching, I got your
Tino, I hope you're enjoying the beach. No, seriously though, Tino even admits he hasn't been on every episode because he's never learned how to start the episode by himself or doing it. Like, so if there's an episode that week, it's because of me.
Yeah.
And to his credit, he has been there for probably, out of 415 episodes, he's probably been there 395 times. He's probably missed 20 episodes in 420 episodes, roughly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Very impressive. Yeah. Listen, as a former podcaster myself, as someone who did it with other people, but had to do all of the back end work myself, I can tell you it's a commitment. It's a big commitment, which is why I'll never do it again. I'll only be a guest.
Or a co-host.
Or a co-host, yes.
Yeah.
Where you do all the work.
And you know what? Like, Tino loves our new theme music. You obviously heard it tonight as we launched in. I don't even know why I did both of the theme songs. I don't whatever. I don't care. Thanks, Danhausen. Are you? Oh, you're gonna stay over there? Okay.
Yeah, please.
I'm the one that has to deal with that.
I can smell all the way here, man. I can smell through the video.
Anyways.
Too many Slim Jims.
So I do want to start moving the show along because we're at 40 something minutes. Junior, are you watching anything on TV?
Only thing on that list I'm watching is The Bear.
Well, you can watch anything. Like, if you have other stuff, please let me know.
So like with wrestling, okay? I was telling you earlier, I go through these phases where I won't pay attention to wrestling show to show. What I'll do is I pay attention to wrestling via, my favorite YouTube dirt sheets like Wrestle Talk or WrestleLamia, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And then if I see something I think is really interesting or worth checking out, then I'll go back and I'll watch it. And right now I kind of feel like there's a creative lull. I'm not as enthusiastic about a lot of stuff that's going on. Haven't been since basically the end of the bloodline, the real bloodline. And so it's kind of been hit and miss for me. So a lot of it's been, periphery following.
So not excited about Tala Tonga.
I was more excited about being able to make fun of his name last week than I was him actually coming in.
And then all of a sudden I nailed his name and it was like, oh, damn it.
Yeah. No, it was that was a moment. That was a moment we all shared last week, and it was something I will keep with me. It is the most over thing he will ever do on that roster.
Was us getting his name right?
Yes, absolutely. But no, as far as other TV show go, I don't watch a lot of television shows just
But
because.
did you watch the most recent season of The Bear, the fourth
Oh yeah,
season?
I have not watched the most recent one that's dropped. I have not watched that one yet, so do not spoil it for me.
I haven't watched it either.
But my wife and I, we watched that together, and my daughter has expressed an interest in watching it because she's gotten really into Kitchen Nightmares and that Hell's Kitchen show. She's going through her Gordon Ramsay phase, and so through that, she was interested in watching The Bear. So she's been catching up with it to get to where we are, and now we're all going to watch it together as a family. Um, let's see. I really like watching movies. Like if I'm gonna spend time watching stuff, I'm big into movies. And the most recent movie that I saw that really blew my skirt up was this Indian train ride from hell action film called Kill, which is currently available to stream on Hulu. I remember hearing about it last year. Didn't get a chance to see it in the theater, but man, I tell you, that was a fun movie. Brutal, just brutal action, close quarters combat, no holds barred, and Zeus shows up, and you know, double forearms people, or at least I wish he did. Rest in peace, Tiny Lister. But one of the most charismatic bad guys I've seen in a movie in a long time, and it's funny because watching that film, they naturally, and by they I mean the characters in the movie, uh, they flow between English and their native language effortlessly, like they're two of the same language. There'll be a character that responds in English, and then the other character responds completely in their native tongue. They're slipping English into phrases that they're speaking. It was pretty wild. But if you like hardcore action movies, highly recommend it. I can't say enough about it. And I did watch the last season of Squid Game. I watched Squid Game season 3.
I guess I'm going to start this with all weekend long. I felt like everything I did was a compromise to what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Right. And I only say this because I went down to South Carolina on Thursday, was there until Monday morning, came back on Monday morning. And I even told my sister and brother-in-law that everything I did was compromise. Not saying I didn't enjoy what I did, but I compromised everything I wanted to do. Like, for example, they sat there and said, "Hey, what do you want to do on Saturday?" And I said I wanted to go to this place called Crazy Masons, which is a ice cream place where you get a mason jar with an amazing ice cream sundae in it.
Sounds really
And they're
good.
like, and yeah, and they were like, "Well, we did that already. We did that on like Wednesday, so we don't want to do that again." And I'm like, "Well, I'm glad you guys did it.
Right.
I didn't get to do it, right?"
Right.
But then they came up with a compromise. They said, "There's this really cool ice cream sandwich place where you can get 2 scoops of a crazy ice cream inside like 2 different cookies, and it could be a brownie and a cookie, and it could be." And I was like, "I'm okay with that." Right?
Right.
So I'll pass up the $21 sundae for
Right.
the $9 cookie sandwich.
2 of them.
Cool. No,
Two
just
of
one.
them.
I could only eat one. And by the way, I've gone to Crazy Masons in the past, and I have had one of those sundaes, and I have finished it,
Yeah.
and I have hated life for the rest of the day.
Oh yeah.
And mind you, this is the same weekend that Joey Chestnut ate 70 and a half fucking hot dogs.
Makes my
And
stomach
second
hurt.
and second place ate 46 and a half. on the drive home, my buddy Johnny sitting in the car with me goes, and the thing that really bugs me about all this is that these guys think that they're real athletes,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, yeah, just imagine it. They're sitting there going, by the grace of God, I was able to eat 70 and a half hot dogs this weekend.
Meanwhile, there's homeless people all around who can't get a dime to get anything.
Can't even eat a hot dog.
I mean, so Joey Chestnut could have won off of 48
47
hot dogs. He could have taken the other 30 hot dogs that he ate and just passed them out to people who needed it.
Throwing them to the crowd.
But nope, they're going in, baby.
No. But based on Jesus Christ our Lord, I was able to eat those extra 27 hot dogs to win this whole thing. Anyways.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh thinking that they think that they're athletes. Now that I'm over 40 years old, I gotta watch how many hot dogs I actually am able to put down. Really?
Well, Jesse, how many hot dogs can you put down?
Exactly, right? So, but anyway, I when watching TV this week, I noticed that a bunch of TV shows are getting ready to come back over the next couple of weeks. And by the way, a bunch of them are listed right there. You got Dexter, Resurrection, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Ironheart, by the way, apparently finished within 2 weeks. They dropped 6 episodes in 2 weeks, and they blew everybody's mind by basically showing the next major Marvel villain.
Or it will be swept under the rug, erased, and forgotten as if it never existed.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen, because I don't think it's going to be a what's his face from Loki, and also the bad guy from Ant-Man 3. I think Sacha Baron Cohen has kept himself kind of out of being a terrible human being enough where he's going to be the next major Marvel villain now.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun if they do follow through on that. I didn't watch the show. I didn't hear really any good things about it, to be honest. But I don't really watch the Marvel TV shows anyway. They don't intrigue me. They don't.
Last week I gave a really long explanation as to why I was kind of upset by Ironheart, and not because I didn't think that it was going to be a bad show. I thought with Ryan Coogler in charge, it was going to be fine. I thought that they took the easy way out by going with because it's a Black Star, you end up having all these troubles as to why they can't get money to fund their Iron Man suit. Whereas the biggest problem I had with this was with Sam Wilson saying, I'm going to restart the Avengers. A person that created an Iron Man costume and armor would probably be one of the first people that Captain America would call in.
But didn't they already? Okay, he said that in that new movie he was in, right? Brave New World or whatever.
Yeah.
But didn't they just rebrand Thunderbolts as the Avengers?
Well, but that's supposed to be two separate versions of the Avengers. So you've got
Avengers groups.
So you've got Sam building what is the government version of the Avengers, and then you've got Val's version, which are called the New Avengers, which are the Thunderbolts, which were the bad guys that, besides Bucky, are the good guys.
Sounds
don't overthink it.
Let me take another sip of this Four Loko and see if it makes sense to me.
Oh my God, the fact that you're drinking a Four Loko.
It tastes like utter shit.
I'm
I also,
sure it does. I'm
I
sure
also
it
get
does.
I'm
But you knew
making
you were going to be on the show, so you were like, let me go down to the gas station and grab a really shitty alcoholic beverage.
if I could have grabbed a Pan Galactic Gargle Blaster, I would have had two. And I would think I would have been ready. I would have been more ready than
Yeah,
I.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, folks, I just want to point out the TV shows I've been watching. I don't think I've been watching any of them.
Well, you can
I'm
compromise.
I'm signing up again for Hulu so that I can get The Bear
Yeah.
because I need to watch season 4.
Well, and then you can watch Kill.
And
Which is
then I
also
can watch The Kill. I do want to let everybody know that The Ballerina is now available for purchase on Fandango at Home and any of those other websites that you can order your films.
Is it
And
worth
is
the $24.99 or should we wait?
so here's my question to you.
Mhm.
Are you thinking that it's a movie that you want more than one person in the household to watch?
I don't really care if anybody else watches it.
Okay. So at $24.95, I'm going to say if you're going to make yourself your own popcorn and have a drink at home, $24.95 is a little expensive, but yes, I would still watch it.
So the way I tend to justify my VOD purchases is if I wanted to see it in a theater, I factor in ticket prices, concession, gas to get there, and then how much, if it's going to be more than that, $25 so everybody can watch. It's not that bad. Not that bad a price.
So truth be told, when I saw it as a preview to the night before. So I saw it Wednesday night when it launched Thursday night, and it was $20 at the theater. And then I also paid for popcorn and a soda. So I mean, it was probably $40 by the time I paid for it.
Wow.
And I was like, because I'm a huge fan of the John Wick series, I need to see this. So I did.
Yeah.
The $25 to see it, yes, I think that based on what we just talked about, if you're willing to make yourself your own bag of microwave popcorn and everything else, yes, I think it is worth it. And I loved it, and I can't wait to watch it again. So I was disappointed I didn't get to watch it again this weekend because my sister sat there and said, I don't watch those movies because the dog died in John Wick. And I even said, this isn't John Wick. This is a different movie. And she goes, but it's from the same world. I can't. And my brother-in-law was like, she won't let me watch it. And I was like, you're going to watch it on the plane when you're flying to, and he goes, yeah, I'm going to watch it on the plane when I'm
See, here's something that, one of the channels I like to watch on YouTube is Film Threat. I enjoy watching Film Threat. And they recently had a conversation because this kind of relates to something that's coming up. But Superman, James Gunn's Superman's coming out this week. I think we already had a comment saying
the 11th.
Yep, somebody's got plans to go out and see it. And apparently they tested a screening where there was a scene where one of the bad guys punches Crypto, the dog. And it tested so badly that they pulled it out. Now, excuse me, but one, aren't bad guys supposed to do bad things? Aren't they supposed to do things that make us want to see them get their comeuppance? And
yes,
two,
I do. Hold on. I do want to point out that, yes, while we are talking about all this, we will get to our predictions for next weekend's wrestling events. But continue, please.
Right. So, like in John Wick, nobody was sitting back going, I really hope he doesn't kill those guys for what they did to his dog. Right? Nobody was saying that. Everybody was like, fuck those guys. Kill them in horrible, horrible ways. All right.
Except for Kevin Nash. Except for Kevin Nash, who sat there and said, I'd prefer a night off, Mr. Vick.
Well,
put the earpiece out, walked right away.
Well, for me,
good old Francis.
For me, personally, it's a movie. All right. A dog didn't really die. Crypto is not real to begin with. It's a CGI dog. You're punching pixels. How about we just kind of get over? I love dogs. I've got 4 of them. Okay. And I
didn't realize you had 4 of them, but
I've got 4 dogs. I've got 4 dogs, and they're not all small. I love dogs, but that's not going to stop. If I see a dog die on screen, it's going to bother me, sure. But it's going to bother me in a way that's going to make me, if it's in the course of an action film, go, fuck those guys. I want to see them die. I want to see them get worse than the dog got. Right?
I mean, so I have watched every single, and I mean every single behind the scenes video for John Wick, including the John Wick thing that they just did where it was like $10 to watch like Chad Stahelski and Keanu Reeves talk about the movies as they were being made, and how it's like it was called John Wick is Pain, and it's all about how like when you see John Wick dragging his leg, it's because Keanu Reeves is dragging his leg because he's hurt, right? In real life. The whole idea, like they actually were talking about how the crowd in the first test screening did not understand the whole idea of Daisy, the dog, passing away. And the dog is symbolic for it's the last thing that his wife gave to him. Like it is, and by the way, I totally understand. I love dogs. Like I never want to like me having to put 2 dogs down in my life crushed me.
Yeah.
Were two of the most hard moments of my entire life. So I don't, and by the way, I also watched a dog get run over by a car that was our family dog. Now we call him the rubber dog because we picked him up, we put him in the car, we took him to a vet, and the vet was like, your dog's fine.
Yeah.
He got run over by a car doing like 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
And they were like, I think his hip might be out of place, but there you go. He's good to go. But at the same time, like we know that it's meant to be like hurtful. And the only other movie that I know that had that kind of moment in it where they truly cut it out was Terminator 2. Wolfie's okay, right? And then all of a sudden you see the T-1000 sit there, kills the people, and then he goes outside. If you watch the long version, and he kills Max, the dog. That's the only other time that you really see it. So, do I like the fact that John Wick had it? No. But all I tell people now is, hey, just move the movie 15 minutes into the future. Sure. And you see a guy just sitting there killing motherfuckers for no reason whatsoever. Or watch from the beginning and really see why it hurts him so much.
Right.
And the dog dying. And by the way, they really do pull on your heartstrings when that dog dies, because Daisy sits there and crawls to John Wick.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. John Wick doesn't crawl to the dog. The dog crawls to him.
I got a question for you. Next
Shoot.
time you see your sister, ask her if you guys can watch Milo and Otis.
Oh no.
There's no dogs die. No dogs die in the film of Milo and Otis. Now, plenty of them died during the making of the film, but nobody dies in the movie.
I don't even know if I could sit there and say, "Hey, Michelle, do you want to watch Old Yeller?"
Right.
You know, I don't know if I can. But
it's
the fact that my sister would not watch that film
or any
because of
subsequent.
and I'm talking about the ballerina. The fact
Right.
that she would not watch the ballerina because of the John Wick series, where it is a tangentially
Right.
attached movie.
Right.
I was like, and again, this is one of those moments where I was like, all right, I guess I'm willing to offer another suggestion, right? So, like, for example, again, I wanted to do a certain type of I wanted to do the Ripley's miniature golf.
Mhm.
We went to a different miniature golf, right? In fact, it was called Minotaur Goff. Goff.
I kind of feel like your nickname for the weekend should have been Tropical Storm Chantel, because it was all just a little bit less than what you were aspiring to do.
Well, interestingly enough, here's the funniest part. As I got in my car to come down, I asked, should I bring my golf clubs?
Mhm.
My brother-in-law was like, no, I don't think we're going to have time. Sunday, after Chantal has really done its major shit, he goes, you want to go play real golf? And I'm like, I didn't even bring my clubs. You told me not to.
Yeah.
And he was like, I know I told you not to, but now we have the opportunity. And I'm like, no. And he goes, but your nephew, who just left to go home, took his own left-handed golf clubs, because I'm left-handed, took his own left-handed golf clubs home. You could tell him to turn around and you could take his golf clubs home. And I'm like, no. And I'm going to tell you why. I have a $500 driver and I've got $2,500 worth of my own clubs.
Right.
And I was told not to bring them. And you want me to sit there and say, yeah, let's get my nephew who just left, who is on the road to get out of here, who is not happy. And you and I can talk about that off air if you want to come back to drop off his clubs, which were probably $200 golf clubs.
Yeah.
So that I can try to hit his golf clubs?
No,
not at all. No.
not
happening.
That's like wearing somebody else's underwear. When you're running late for work, you've got your thing.
You just don't wear underwear in that situation. That's how it is.
Pretty much, and you don't go golfing.
And you don't go golf. And I didn't.
That's right. Stuck to your guns.
Not gonna do it. Wouldn't be prudent in this juncture.
One last thing too, that I was going to say that before we wrap up the whole what you're watching, there is a show that I really love to watch. It's available on YouTube. I don't know if anybody else watches it or not, but Taskmaster. It is a British panel game show where they bring on 5 comedians of different genres, and they all participate in competing to solve these different tasks. It's very funny, very British. I'm a big fan of British humor. I watch those panel shows all the time. They've got like 19 seasons available for you to watch on YouTube, so you can watch it all for free. Highly recommend it.
I watched something called Game Changer on TikTok, and it's always something that makes me laugh.
Yeah.
because it's like a sketch comedy thing, but
Yeah.
it's also totally like we give you a topic and you have to do it, and
Yeah.
it's like, where do they go with it? And it's always good.
Yeah. There's a
So
lot
so
of really
100%.
Yeah, that's also available on YouTube as well.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, so now, Junior,
Yes, Rob.
I didn't get to watch as much pro wrestling this week as I would have liked.
Mhm.
I did watch Dynamite. I did not watch Collision. And it started with a and are you cool with talking pro wrestling?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So it started with Hangman Adam Page coming down to the ring and calling out John Moxley, who is his opponent at All In Texas. And he basically said, I want a Texas death match at All In. And I don't care who I have to face. It doesn't matter if it's all of the Death Riders. It doesn't matter who it is. Give me Texas death is what he kept saying. And I thought it was funny, first of all, that he kept saying, give me Texas death. Give me Texas death. And I was
Okay.
like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, what does Texas death mean?
That's a good question. Probably, I think it has a lot to do with humidity and barbecue.
I mean, if you've been in the South recently, it might. But then the segment had John Moxley sit there, grab a microphone, and go, "You want Texas death? No, you don't deserve it. You don't." And it did this whole thing, and then finally, like it ended with the entire Death Riders beating down Hangman Adam Page.
Mhm.
He got up. The Ops, which is Samoa Joe, Will Hobbs, and Shibata, all kept the rest of the Death Riders out, and it basically became Adam Hangman Page and Mina Shafir Marina Shafir in the ring, and he gave her that awesome like
The shotgun lariat.
the shotgun lariat.
Yeah.
And Tony Khan then later on said, you've got it, you've got that match. Now,
So he just had to assault a woman to get his match.
after John Moxley had said no, he didn't
Right.
deserve that kind of match. Yes. So, thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's setting a precedent in AEW. You know, you want a certain kind of match, and the guy doesn't want to give it to you. Just go beat up a woman in the ring, and you'll get your way. You know.
So,
I would
Bully
say
Ray,
most-
and Tino hates when I do this, but Bully Ray from Busted Open actually did point out that a way to have done that would have been to have sat there and said, give me Texas death. John Moxley says no. He sits there and grabs her. John Moxley still says no. He does like the dead eye pile driver.
Yeah.
John Moxley still says no, and then Hangman picks up the belt in that box that it's in, and then Moxley finally sits there and goes, "No, no, 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 no," and he goes, "Give me what I want," and then he goes,
Yeah.
"Fine," and that would have been a better way to have done it.
Right.
And right, it totally would have been a better way to do it.
Yeah. Well,
But
so I'm not updated on the AEW storyline. So last time I watched AEW, which is a long time ago, Moxley was still kind of on the fence as whether or not he was a good guy or a bad guy. I think they
No,
had.
he's truly heel now.
Then it makes sense, if he cares more about his title or the title than he does his own fellow faction mates.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pulling up where we're going with all of this, by the way. I have the for whatever reason,
So
the AEW
Samoa Joe, Will Hobbs, and Shibata, they call themselves the Ops.
Yeah, the OPPS Ops.
Interesting. Okay. Are you down with
And
OPPS?
by the way, Shibata is probably the coolest one out of all of them, because since he doesn't speak English, he uses Google Translate.
Right.
As part of his gimmick. He wants Texas Death hot sauce and jalapenos. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that.
If they do a spot during their Texas Death match where somebody pulls out hot sauce and jalapenos and rubs it in an open wound, they got to be on fire.
Dude, I'll tell you right now. I tap.
Oh yeah.
I
some
tap.
lemon in the eye. Squeeze some lemon in the eyes.
Absolutely, I would tap. There is. So
Adam Page comes down like dressed for the smokeout, and he's carries a big thing of brisket with him and just chucks it across the ring.
I hate you sometimes. I want to go ahead and talk about some of the predictions for this week.
Sure.
All
I just
right.
came up with a good tag for that last joke, but the time has passed too. I was going to say John Moxley could like stomp on him, and Adam could be like, "He just broke my ribs."
He just broke my ribs.
How would JR say that?
You know you're trying to get me. You want me to do it?
My God. Yeah, how would he do it?
So my question is it pre-Attitude Era Jim Ross, or is it post-Attitude Era?
Yeah, well, it's AEW, so it's post-Attitude Era, baby.
All right. So on Monday Night Raw. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks.
Come on, man. Dance monkey.
No, I was doing it. Like he had to collect himself. What am I saying?
Well, I don't know, but all I know is that Adam Page walks down. He's got the kiss the cook, apron on. He's got the hat on. He's ready. He's spent all day at the cookout. He's ready for this Texas Deathmatch barbecue battle. He chucks his ribs and his brisket across the ring. Okay, they're slathered in JR's barbecue sauce.
Ain't no way they are doing this Texas Deathmatch without some JR barbecue sauce. Let me just say that right now, King. Let me just talk. Sorry, Excalibur.
Oh, JR, he's stepping all over the ribs. He's broken a few of them.
He has broken the ribs in half. He literally is taking that dinner sauce and making it a whole meal.
There you go.
It doesn't even make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make, but hey, that's the beautiful thing. It doesn't have to.
Was that good? Did that sound like him?
I appreciated it. And that's all I'll say. I appreciated it. It's good stuff.
That hurt. But anyway, I have it pulled up as to what the current matches are for Saturday night's main event, with the main event being Goldberg versus Gunther, and we expect it to be Goldberg's final match. So, so let's talk about the other matches that are currently announced. Are you ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
So there's a rumor that Dominic Mysterio versus AJ Styles is going to happen for the Intercontinental title.
Okay.
Now, Dominic Mysterio announced last week that he was injured, so I don't know if this match is going to happen. If it does, who do you got?
Well, it's also a possibility that they leak, they put that out there just to kind of like swerve people.
No. Dominic's really injured. That was a fact.
Injured?
He was legit injured, yeah.
Well, I would say if the match happens, and he's injured, makes sense to go ahead and put it on AJ. That way Dom can take some time off. If it winds up not happening and they do something else, who else would they put in the ring with AJ? That's the question. Because if Dom can't go, they have a history.
I love the fact that they're actually pushing Dominic versus AJ. Like,
yeah,
AJ is still to this day one of the top probably 10 performers in wrestling. So putting him and the sad thing, well, maybe not even the sad thing, but the truth is that Dominic is one of the top performers as well. Like, and you might not agree with. You might not agree.
The argument, he's one of the most over people in the entire company.
But on top of being the most over, like when CM Punk came back, his first two matches before he ended up hurting himself again were against Dominic Mysterio. Randy Orton, when he came back, his first match was against Dominic Mysterio. So he is a top hand that they get people ready for by facing him. Like, you don't put a Randy Orton after 18 months on the shelf against the Dominic Mysterio unless Dominic Mysterio is the guy that can make sure that he gets through that match without being hurt.
And his character work has been flawless. I mean, he's really grown into his character. He's I was sure that when the mommy angle ended, that would be the end of him, but he has just flown higher and higher. I would say he came out of that better than Rhea Ripley did.
I'll say this. He went into WrestleMania as one of the 3 biggest heels in the entire industry. And saying with the New Day being the other ones, right?
Right.
And he walked out with like holding on to his Intercontinental title, and people were cheering him. Like he is ready for the babyface run. And it's crazy because all along I thought he should change his name to Dominic Guerrero.
Yeah. That would have been interesting.
And he never did. All right. So we look at that. If it actually goes down, you say AJ wins because we think Dominic's actually hurt.
Yeah, I mean, if they're able to put on a match, and that's a way to write him off TV for a little bit.
Fair enough. All right, next matchup: Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre.
Well, my gut tells me Randy Orton, but my heart tells me Drew McIntyre. Now that McIntyre's back, and do they have a stipulation on that match?
As of right now, it just says Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre.
I thought McIntyre's work against CM Punk last year was great. That was by far one of the best feuds in the company.
The best feud of the year.
Yeah. And they did it all based on a charm bracelet, right? So, so I would love to see him. I was with him when he was frustrated going into WrestleMania, not feeling like he had the support that he should have in the back. And then him being forced to lose to Damian Priest the way he did in that cell match. I think the guy is fantastic. And I hope that my hope is that he would win, just to see him start to get that momentum back and move up into the upper card. But
Well,
Randy,
Monsoon, let's not forget that the whole idea was that you could have a match in a steel cage and then get mad at the fact that you could just walk out the door.
that was pretty funny.
Are you serious? He could just walk out the door? That's horrible. Whoever came up with that idea, McMahon. Sorry. For those that don't know, that was my Jesse the Body Ventura impression. Not great, but you get the mannerisms. You don't
Basically,
get
word for word what he said during that match.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. I'm
Almost
wearing
made
a feather
me think-
boa, and I don't understand why someone would just walk out the door.
Well, it kind of makes you wonder if he's rethinking all of his steel cage matches where he could have walked out the door and now he's just kicking himself.
He's like, "Are you serious? I could have just walked out the door. I'm a frog man. I went down to the depths of Tonga, and I never actually walked out the steel cage door."
There was no door leading out of the Viet Cong.
There
down to
was
the
no
bog.
door. There was no door leading out of the Viet Cong. I don't know why anybody would have ever actually done all of that.
What about you? Who do you have? Between
That's a good question. I think with Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre, I think with Drew McIntyre returning, you do have to give him the win. I think that this starts setting the voices off in Randy Orton's head. I think that the voices start going off in Randy's head, and that may cause some Tongan situation going on down the road. Seriously though, I do think that Randy Orton loses the match to Drew McIntyre, which does cause Randy to go a little woo, and
I mean,
maybe
just these first two matches you've mentioned, it also makes me wonder what's the over and under that there's going to be interference in every single one of these matches.
you know what? I'm gonna be real with you. I am afraid of that specifically because in WWE events recently, when it comes to a major main event, there is always something going on. And you know what? When it was just NXT having that, it was something. Now that it's, oh, this is Triple H's booking style for the main roster, at some point there's gotta be like, hey, somebody stops that from happening,
Right.
and it allows the match to happen the way that it's supposed to.
Right.
You know, and they kind of did the opposite of that recently, where they had Charles Robinson running all the way down to the ring,
Right.
and John Cena just trucked him.
Yeah.
And the best thing about that was Charles Robinson, Little Nate, after everybody had gone home, Little Nate was still laid out outside the ring and took a picture for his Instagram.
That's hilarious.
And it was amazing. But to your point, I do think it's time. I mean, specifically, like let's look at it. Drew McIntyre is now the Under Armour Project Rock spokesperson.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you not start pushing this guy, knowing that if The Rock wants something done in WWE, that it starts getting done?
I mean, that's an interesting point. You know, if he's co-signing and basically backing McIntyre, it'll be interesting to see how much influence he has. It could also work as a strike against him. You know, because if you've got the Rock saying push this guy, he's an ambassador for one of my brands. You know, meanwhile Triple H is not wanting to kowtow. Who knows?
So Michael Turner says Randy wins. I'm going to go Drew. I think Drew needs a win.
It could go
I think
either
Drew
or,
needs
but
to win.
Drew,
Drew
I'd
needs
like
a
to see Drew
win.
win. Yeah.
All right. So next up, LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. And remember, Seth Rollins has Braun Breaker and Braun Strowman, not Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed, and Paul Heyman at his side.
Well, my fear is that the fervent fan backing that LA Knight had for like the last year and a half, I feel like that's on its last legs. If they don't start pulling the trigger with him here pretty soon, it's going to be all for nothing. And they're going to miss an opportunity to really kind of capitalize on him. Plus, he's no spring chicken. The guy's getting older, so they've only got a couple more years left with him anyway. So maybe that's their justification for not really capitalizing on the fan support. But I would like to see.
Except he's not younger than Seth Rollins. He's not older than Seth Rollins. They're about the same age.
Well, but at the same time, Seth is a known quantity within. He's been around a lot longer. He's almost damn near an institution within WWE at this point, well, as long as he's been around. Me personally, Seth Rollins is like this close to having go away heat with me. Every time he comes on, I run the risk of just turning it off. I can't stand his promos. I can't, I don't care what they're doing with him with Paul Heyman right now. The guy is just, he's anti-watchable.
You know what I don't like? I don't like the fact that, like, when he comes on and he goes, I'm a revolutionary, I'm an evolutionary, I'm a sexuationary, I'm a doucheonary, like whatever he's even saying there. At this point, you're a bad guy. Nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
Start talking about why you're a bad guy.
Well,
don't talk about you're an evolutionary and a revolutionary.
Well, and quit catering to the crowd with your theme song. Quit.
And I blame the WWE on that, because the WWE week 3 should have had his new group a theme song.
Right.
The fact that they've gone a month, 3 months, whatever it is, I think it is 3 months. The fact that they've gone 3 months and they haven't changed his theme music yet. I still don't know why Paul Heyman's with him. The fact that they didn't even explain why Bronson Reed, who gave him 7 tsunamis, is with him, when all he would have had to do is go, the reason why this man is with me is because he showed by giving me 7 tsunamis. He has what it takes to be my right-hand man. That's all
no one else could do. He tried to put me out of the business, and I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Tino sat there and actually said, why is he with him? And I'm like, well, the reason why he's with him is because he can't beat him. So he told him to join him. But they never explained that shit.
Right.
Horrible.
Yeah. For me, everything about Seth Rollins, I could give I could really just give. I don't even want to take it. I'd much rather see LA Knight win. I enjoy him more, even though he's a bit of a Stone Cold Rock clone. He's highly entertaining, and I'd like to see some fresh faces in the overall upper mid card, upper main event title picture.
You know what? I totally be okay if LA Knight made it to the top of the card, and he's gotten his main event matches against Roman. He's gotten other matches, and he's been second the last 2 Money in the Banks. The fact is that the crowd is still behind him, and he is not getting any younger. give him the ball, let him run with it. Yeah. And let's
Yeah.
see what he does.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
what's the worst that could happen? Attendance goes up?
Well, they gave it to Damian Priest. He didn't move any numbers. You know, the what's his name? 3MB. Huh?
Jey Uso.
Well, Jey Uso, yeah. Notice who nobody's talking about right now, too. You know, everybody was, you guys were upset he was taken off the top. Nobody's talking about him now. Nobody misses him. So
Still sells the most shirts.
and so does Karrion Kross right after him. So you're two top shirt getters. So yeah, I'll go for LA Knight just because I like him more.
I'd love to see LA Knight win this match. So there's that one.
If he wins, I will be shocked. I will be absolutely shocked.
Well, I could see LA Knight winning the match, and then we're talking about Gunther versus Goldberg.
Yeah.
And remember, Seth has Money in the Bank.
Yep.
So we have Gunther versus Goldberg.
Yep.
Goldberg, they're advertising it as his final match.
Yeah. Hopefully.
I'm going to say right now, I don't know how much money they paid Goldberg, but if Gunther is allowed to do what Gunther does, Goldberg is going to hate himself for signing up for this little amount of money. It could be $5 million, and Goldberg is going to hate himself for having to take the chops across the chest.
Those are some expensive chops, for sure.
Like, I am hoping that Gunther at least roast beefs fucking Goldberg's chest.
Well, so is only 4 matches for Saturday night's main event?
As of right now, there could be one announced tonight during Raw. There could be one announced during SmackDown. But as of right now,
the hope would be that they limit it. They limit the number of matches so that the main event can have a good chunk of time
to stew.
Yeah, because what they've done is getting back to kind of what you were alluding to, is they've created a scenario where regardless of who wins, whether it's Gunther or Goldberg, those two guys are going to beat the piss out of each other so much that there won't be much left to defend against a cashing in Rollins. So, and in that case, if that is the direction that they're going, I kind of see them giving Goldberg, if this is his final match, and God, I hope it is, he manages to get one over on Gunther. And while he is like in pain, breathing hard, holding his man titties, trying to hold hoist that title, right? Suddenly Rollins comes down,
burn it down,
and takes him out, and he's got nothing left. So he gets his final win. He gets a send off as a champion, and then they move it right on to Rollins.
I change that just a little. And here's how I do it. We know that Rollins has a match earlier in the night, right?
Right.
We've already said, and I think LA Knight wins that match because I think LA Knight needs that win.
Mm-hmm.
And Seth Rollins has already proven, if you look back at his WrestleMania career, he lost to Randy Orton the same night that he cashed in Money in the Bank between Brock Lesnar and
Roman Reigns.
And Roman Reigns. So I could totally see a world where he loses to LA Knight and then catches in to make it a 3-way dance
Okay.
because then it is a no disqualification match.
And his boys
And-
can get it.
And the tsunami can happen, and and Braun Breaker can sit there and run around the ring,
Right.
and you can get the spear of Braun Breaker versus the spear of Bill Goldberg, and yet somehow Gunther still loses that match.
Right. There'd be
With it
enough
being-
elements in it to justify a loss.
with it
And-
being a no DQ, and then
Right.
and then Goldberg doesn't get to go out saying I lost my final match.
right.
He gets to sit there and say my son got to see my final match.
Right. And it would make for a fun visual or a fun setup where if Rollins as the architect just tips his hand immediately, and as soon as he cashes in before the bell rings, Braun and Bronson are side by side with him in the ring, kind of backing and forcing Goldberg and Gunther up side by side to where they almost have to like team against each other to beat these other three guys.
No, they wouldn't do it that way. The way that they'll do it is it'll go halfway through the match because
Right.
Rollins already has another match that night. So
Right.
it'll go halfway through the match, and then all of a sudden you'll hear "Burn it down," and everybody will be like, "Oh my God, Seth Rollins is cashing in!" Blah blah blah, and that bullshit.
It would be cooler my way though. If he
I
just
don't disagree.
yeah.
I'm just saying that the way it'll happen if they do it
Right.
is,
Right.
and there's always the possibility that Gunther beats the ever-loving shit out of Goldberg. Goldberg wins the match, and then Seth cashes in on him.
Yeah.
Always a possibility.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see it the way I talked about because the other bullshitters are going to get involved.
Right.
And honestly, that's the last match that I've got listed right now
Yeah.
for that. So now it's time to talk about, are you ready?
Oh, I was born ready.
WWE Evolution, and I wrote Stratton instead of Stratton. I apologize.
Stratian.
Yeah, I did.
Stratian versus Stratton.
I did. Hold on. I can try to fix it. Never mind. I'm not even going to try.
That's all right.
Here we go. Let's start at the bottom and tell us where we're here. Here we go. All right. Jade Cargill versus Naomi, no holds barred.
Give me Naomi. Just because I'm not a fan of Jade Cargill. I don't think she deserves to be in the spot that she's in. And Naomi's been doing great work.
I disagree. I think they give it to Jade because Naomi has the money in the bank and can cash in whenever she wants.
That's fair.
So good call, but
yeah,
booking makes sense.
Yeah, to be honest, that's not really a match that I'm. That should be for the sometime in the mid to late Naomi run. Give Cargill something to chase because she's clearly positioned as the babyface in the feud, but they're going to blow it off here and nobody's going to care later, and that's it.
I don't even think it's a blow off because I think at SummerSlam, Cargill is going to beat Stratton or Tiffany Stratton, and then we're going to get the cash in.
Yeah, but that first meeting when you've got two people that have history, you've got two people with animosity people can buy into. You want to make that first encounter mean something, and
I wonder.
Means that.
It's a good point. I wonder if it's going to be the start of like a Naomi like group of people.
Yeah,
That way you
Who-
don't have the blow off there.
yeah, it's possible. Maybe she introduces a friend. She's got an ally, something. Yeah, that could work.
You know, like Miss Jakara Jackson or
Well, you know who's in need of a refresh? Bianca. And she's right in there. I mean, they got that's a trio with history.
well, you're not wrong. And I always thought that them going for the championship would be a three-way dance.
Yeah.
So you may have just alluded to something that could happen, sir.
We'll see.
Becky Lynch versus Bailey versus Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
I don't care if it's Bailey. I don't care if it's Lyra. I just want to get that belt off Becky because she is like this close to being in Seth Rollins' zone. As far as like, I don't want to watch you anymore. Every time you open your mouth, you make me want to mute the television.
There's one difference. There's one difference between them. And it truly is a difference between what the husband's doing and what the wife is doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the fact that Becky has done everything she can to put her opponent over.
Except beat her.
She even lost twice to Lyra Valkyria already.
Right.
So, I mean, she literally has done everything in her power to make Lyra a respectable main event player. And
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all.
but the fact that we still are sitting here arguing about it means that Lyra hasn't done enough to make herself on the same par as Becky Lynch. And I don't like Becky Lynch as the heel. I like Becky Lynch, the man, being the Stone Cold Steve Austin female.
She's not a believable heel in the way she's playing it right now at all.
But the one thing that she has done as the heel is make Lyra believable. Now, has she made Bailey believable? No. Has it made sense to make this a three-way dance? No. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if they would have that third match that they had where Becky wound up beating Lyra, if they had allowed Lyra to win that match, right, cause Becky to go crazy because here's this woman she just cannot beat. And they build it up to this match where it's either I win or I'm done. Like, if I can't beat her, then I don't deserve to be here. Then,
you're absolutely right. If they had done it where all of a sudden Lyra's facing Bailey and Becky gets involved and causes Bailey to lose via disqualification or whatever, then it would totally have made sense. The idea was, oh, let's give Becky that championship belt.
Right.
Who the fuck cares?
Yeah. I mean, she's a made woman anyway. At this point, she could lose to anybody on the roster, and it would just elevate whomever she loses to. It's
Except
not going to
Charlotte Flair.
Except who?
Charlotte Flair.
Right.
A person who needs to be taken down a couple notches on that ladder.
Yes, I would agree with that. Ultimately, my hope is that Lyra wins. I like her. I don't like her wings that she wears to the ring, but I like her attitude. I like the way she wrestles. and it's nice. I'd like to see fresh faces. Let's let some of these fresh faces start to have some success.
All right, so who do you got in that match?
I'll take Lyra.
So you know what? I'm cool with that. I like that choice.
I don't think she's going to win. I want her to win. I'm going to pick her to win. I think Becky's retaining.
So I believe they did announce that there's an NXT Women's Championship match between Jordan Grace and the current champion JC Jane.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Well, JC Jane's had it for how long now?
3 weeks.
She's got her faction of people that can get involved. Jordan, I think Jordan, who's she been tagging with lately? She's been tagging with somebody, but she's going in as the baby face, right? So it's not like she's going to have anybody interfering on her behalf.
Yeah, she's going in as a baby.
I don't know. I would say I'd take Jordan Grace.
I actually, so I'm gonna go the opposite way.
All right.
I think this is gonna be JC Jane. And here's why. Jordan Grace isn't long for NXT. We all know
she's gonna be on the main roster here shortly. Okay.
And I could see her winning the Evolution Championship Battle Royal, which I assume would get her a main event match against one of the champions of the main roster. And I could see her winning that. So I could see her losing the match at Evolution, going into the Battle Royal, and then winning the Battle Royal to then go up against the winner of the Rhea Ripley Io Sky match.
Yeah, that'll work. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Which, by the way, women's tag team championship match also at Evolution. Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair.
Now, the Judgment Day are the champions, correct?
Right, but there is 2 more tag teams that will be added to this.
Oh, wow, okay.
So the Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair is the SmackDown team. Then there will be a Raw team and an NXT team also added.
Okay. I'll be honest. Raquel's making strides. She had a banger of a match last PLE. I like Roxanne Perez. I think her being added to the mix is not only good for Raquel, good for Roxanne, but it's also good for the storyline when Liv comes back. And it'd be all the better if they still have the titles. So, me personally, I don't care who else they put in there. I would like to see Judgment Day take it.
All right. Just want to point out that Michael Turner said Naomi, Bailey, and JC Jane.
All right.
I agree that I think that the Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez needs to boil more, especially since the best way to bring Liv back would be to have her get mad at this.
Right.
So I agree. Right now, I think that it's a good idea for them to win. I don't know if them holding on to it till she gets back is the way to do it.
I don't know how long she out.
Well, it's a shoulder injury, so I mean it could be 6 months.
Yeah, maybe they don't till then, but still, it'd be nice to see them win. And I don't like titles changing hands every PLE. I like to see people hold on to stuff. So
I agree, although I do like sometimes a title changing hands because it's been a while since it happened. Yeah. Tiffany Stratton versus Trish Stratus.
Well, I think this is mostly an exhibition match. This is this is just a, hey, it's Trish. See her one last time, maybe. And you've got the blonde bombshell from yesteryear versus the current blonde bombshell of today. Let's see how they do. But I don't think Stratton's losing.
You know what? I up until right now, I 100% agree with you.
So what did I say to create division between us?
It wasn't you. It was they haven't sold enough tickets at the event.
Uh-huh.
Then I could totally see Trish Stratus giving a Stratusfaction only to have Naomi cash in.
Oh,
one night after we expect Gunther to or Seth to cash in on Gunther.
so back-to-back cash-ins.
2 nights though.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
It would be.
Is there any room left for Stratton as champion? Are there any stories to tell, any matchups that she hasn't had yet?
I think so. Even if she were to come out of this match on top, I could see Naomi cashing in on her.
Right. Well, then would you see then Naomi winning or losing her cash in?
Oh, I could see her walking into SummerSlam, her versus Jade Cargill, because Jade is the Queen of the Ring, and
Right.
that is the closeout of that feud.
That does make sense,
Which is why I came up with that right
that would
there.
set it up, because the next big PLE after this is SummerSlam in August, right?
Yep.
Do they have coming in July?
No, it's just
End of July?
August 2nd and 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, that gives them what, a little under 4 weeks, 3 weeks to build. That does make sense. You know what? You just changed my mind. I think that's what's going to happen.
I think Trish wins, holds the belt up, and all of a sudden you hear "proceed with caution."
Yeah.
And Naomi comes down and cashes in on her.
Yeah.
Even if Seth doesn't cash in at Saturday night's main event.
Right. That does make the most sense. That one does. Because of the nature of their feud, and then her being Queen of the Ring, getting a shot at SummerSlam.
By the way, I want to point out that no dirt sheet has said that.
Breaking rumor right here. Breaking theory.
I'm gonna remind people that when Seth Rollins showed up at the NXT show before WrestleMania to make sure that he got his match against Triple H, we were the only show to talk about it. I want to remind people that when DX was going up against the Spirit Squad, I was the one that sat there and did the karate kick. Nobody else.
Nobody.
So Tino's not here, but I'm telling you guys right now, Sunday night, Evolution, Trish Stratus wins, Naomi takes that title from her.
You heard it here first.
If it happens.
If it happens. If it doesn't happen, you never said it. We erase the tapes.
If it doesn't happen, Rob was drunk.
Yeah.
That's all it is. If it doesn't happen, I was drunk. But anyway. So Final match: Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley.
I feel like broken record. There's someone I want to win, and there's someone I think is going to win.
Hit
I'd
Hit
like
it.
to see each guy win and have a proper reign. Actually get out there and be able to face other people down. But I don't see them not having Rhea Ripley come out with the title. I just don't.
Except they've already said Rhea Ripley has never beaten Io Sky one-on-one.
Okay, who cares? Like, they can say a lot of things, but unless they have like recent history to demonstrate this fact, like they did with Becky and Lyra, unless they have that, then who cares?
So you're saying Rhea Ripley beats her?
I think so. I think that Rhea Ripley's still massively over. She's more over than Io, and that a lot of that is not due to Io's fault. But Rhea is the most over woman on the roster.
Well, part of the problem with this match is that Io Sky hasn't had a match since what, like a month and a half ago?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's been since WrestleMania that we've seen hide nor hair of her. So when you don't see a champion defending their title, or at least in the mix, it diminishes the value of that title over time, because out of sight, out of mind. So, I think a lot of people are going to be going, if Rhea Ripley loses, I think there's going to be, a lot of people upset. Not me, but
I wonder. I almost say that this is going to be the first match of the night, because then it's okay for Rhea to lose. But if she
we'll have
loses,
forgotten about it by the end of the night.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also one where, like, if she loses, like, you want it to be dastardly, or you want, and it is possible. Now, remember, WWE released certain people, including former Damage Control people like Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
And it could be possible that they re-signed her like they did Ron the Truth Killings, and have her show up randomly and have everybody go, holy shit, she's back.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah, I don't think that's
not because I dislike her. I actually think that Dakota Kai was a solid hand. I do think she was injury prone. But I don't think she adds anything to the product.
No, I mean, she needs to go out. I think I heard when she was let go, they told her, hey, go out there, do your own thing, develop a new character, or develop yourself, and then come back and we'll see what you got. I think there's a lot of people on the roster that could stand to do that. But as far as
like Tegan Knox.
Right. Yeah, there's plenty of opportunity now for people to leave, reinvent themselves, and then hopefully be able to come back bigger and better.
Hell, some of them can actually be on WWE TV by being in TNA.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
but it's for me, I think Rhea's taking it. I'd like to see Io stay with it, but I think they just don't know how to book foreign language champions, and unfortunately, that her inability to cut a promo live does hurt her in the eyes of the company.
I disagree that they don't know how to book the foreign language champion. I think they've done a lot better with it since they started doing those vignettes where they actually have the
subtitles and all that,
subtitles and everything else. At the same time, I think that that's doing those folks a disservice because I think people like Shinsuke Nakamura are capable of doing enough English to get over what he's trying to say.
But see, me personally, like we're living in a day and age now. I don't need them to speak English, right?
Sure.
I'd much rather hear from them in their native tongue. And if there's a way they could just openly translate as they speak, subtitles in the ring on the Titantron, that would be good enough. We're all used to watching foreign language films at this point. I mean, it's not that difficult to do. And the fact that you got me riled up here. You bring up Shinsuke Nakamura. What they've done to that man is a travesty, an absolute travesty, to the point where even those of us who knew how great he was, loving what he did in New Japan,
Want him to
don't even
leave.
care about him. We don't even care about him anymore.
We want him to leave.
Yes. Yeah. I think they could do a great job. Asuka could have had a tremendous reign if she would have been allowed to go out there, cut her intense Japanese promos, just subtitle them. Okay, everybody's on board. Everybody knows what they're saying, right? And they could do the same thing with Io Sky, but instead, they force them to try to speak English. And I'm sorry, but if English is your second language and you don't have a complete grasp on it, it just comes off sounding a little goofy. And it's hard to take you seriously as a badass when you are trying to get this other language out. And it's just unfortunate.
You're not wrong. And I do think that her sitting there going, nobody is ready for Asuka as the final statement she makes.
Right.
100%, because it's like after she's gone through this entire thing where even her opponent has to watch the Titantron.
Yeah.
You get to that moment where they stare each other down and she goes, "You're not ready for Asuka."
That would be badass. Absolute badass.
100%.
So, yeah.
But we do have to move on because we're over 2 hours now.
Okay.
And I agree. At the same time, final match. I think Io Sky works it out because I don't think Rhea Ripley needs the championship. But I do think something's going to cause that to happen.
Well, I think based on what you were saying, they always, when they've got two titles on one PLE, usually one title opens the show, one title ends the show. If the Naomi cash-in happens, I see them putting that at the end of the show. Stratton and Stratus will be the main event, and Rhea and Io will be the show opener. I think that would be the way they do it.
Very good possibility, and you know what? I think that's a very good way to determine whether or not we should expect a cash in.
Absolutely, that's a great point. Yeah, if you wind up seeing Trish and Stratton as the main event, something's going to happen.
So, all right, AEW has All In this weekend. Casino Gauntlet #1 with the women's. Chris Statlander is #1, and then apparently, like, the winner of it wins a women's shot at the world title.
Right. This is one of those super convoluted matches where nobody really understands the rules, right? That's what this is?
Correct.
Okay. Then I'll take Chris Statlander.
Fact that she's already up there, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a match where, because don't they normally have a Joker's Wild person?
I don't know. I've never watched.
I think they do because it's the whatever. I will take the Joker because
right.
I don't know who it is.
There you go.
Men's Casino. Mark Briscoe, Mystico, and MJF are all involved.
MJF, is he still working with the Hurt Business?
Hurt Syndicate, yes.
Hurt Syndicate? I can
He's
see that
actually
paying
dressing.
there.
He's dressing like MVP now.
Oh, with the singlet?
Yes, with the three dots on the back that
That's
say
funny.
MJF.
All right. I'd probably go MJF in that case. Yeah, that makes the most sense.
I agree. I'm cool with that one. Adam Cole for the TNT Championship versus Kyle Fletcher. Wow, have the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if Adam Cole regrets like asking to leave WWE. Yeah,
Sometimes
even
I
though,
wonder whether or not Adam Cole regrets breaking up with Britt Baker.
oh, no, he's all right. He's all right. He could do better. He could do way better.
Well, I think that's why he's in this match.
You think so?
I do. Like how did he go from All In last year in Wembley Stadium being the main event against MJF to him versus Kyle Fletcher?
I don't know. I think it's one of those cases where Tony Khan's got too many toys. He doesn't know what to do with them.
I definitely agree with you there because Tony Khan definitely doesn't know what he's dealing with.
Yeah.
Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin versus, you ready for this? Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight versus Christian Cage and Nick Wayne.
I see those little guys getting thrown around a lot. I do see that. I'll take the Hurt Syndicate.
I'm going to take Christian Cage and Nick Wayne.
Okay.
And I expect it to implode.
Okay. So you expect Nick Wayne and Christian Cage to have an issue?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
We're almost there. You're making it. You're getting there.
Title versus title. Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. By the way, the International Championship, the Continental Championship, becoming the Combined Championship.
Yeah. Yeah, the Sun Kiss Capri Sun Championship. I did see something recently where Kenny Omega's been dropping hints that he's going to be retiring here pretty soon. He's worried about his body no longer being able to go at the level he wants to go at. These guys have seen each other many times before, put on some clinics. I haven't heard a lot of rabble about Okada's run in AEW. So that tells me it's kind of been lackluster. So he sounds like he could use a win. He could use a bump. And I'd like to see it because he's an incredible performer. And Kenny's a made man in AEW, doesn't need the win. So I say give it to Okada.
I agree for all the reasons you said. I just wish it wasn't the case.
You just wish it wasn't what?
Wasn't the case.
You'd rather see it go to Omega?
I would, because since Omega's come back, he has thrown his body every fucking where. Anyways. So I agree. I think Okada needs the win more. AEW Women's World Championship. Toni Storm versus...
Yeah, I will take Toni Storm because I can't stand the other one. And I almost want to dial her number just to tell her that. But then again, it's an AI chat bot that's running that thing anyway, so who cares?
I agree with you. However, the more I've thought about this, the more it has made me think that if Tony Khan ever truly wanted to give us what we want, he would give us Tony Storm beating Mercedes Moné and
Yeah.
her going crazy knowing that she's got those 15 other belts or whatever and not that one other championship.
That'd be good, yeah.
I up until 2 or 3 days ago, I was like dead set that he is going to have Mercedes Moné win that championship. And I truly think one of the two, men's or women's, has to change hands at that event, right?
Yeah.
And I think that he doesn't have to do both. So I think the women's, I think you have a 4-time women's champion with Tony Storm.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with it. I don't like, there's a good portion of me that goes against that feeling, but that's what I want. So that's what I'm guessing.
Why can't we just get what we want, man? Let's just get what we want. Just give us what we want. Give me what I want. Just give me what I want.
If Tony Khan were to do that, he'd have the #1 wrestling promotion in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Hell yeah. He's got all the toys in the world to make it happen. So
he's got more than enough toys to make it happen.
Oh yeah.
All right. And after that, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page in Texas Death.
Texas Death barbecue, JR's barbecue sauce.
Yes, it's not even a match. He's like, give me Texas Death.
Okay, I'll kill you in Texas.
We're in Arlington. I'll kill you.
How long?
Jon Moxley's going to try to.
Well, how long has Adam Page been chasing after Jon Moxley at this point?
Only since he won the Owen Hart Invitational.
And when was that? Like 2 months ago?
Roughly, sure.
I mean, if you're going to do it, now would be a good time to do it. Good feather in the cap of, Adam Page should be the guy, the progenitor of the Texas Death Match, since he's the cowboy, whereas, Moxley is just the hardcore guy. He's just a hardcore guy.
So here's the issue, is that there's a couple issues here. Number one, we haven't bought into Moxley's whole Death Rider, oh, I'm the only guy that deserves to be champion bullshit, right?
Right.
Number two, Hangman's only been going after for 2 months.
Yeah.
Number three, Darby Allin is expected to come back at this pay-per-view.
Okay. And who would be a more likely candidate to face Darby for a title? It would probably be Moxley versus Adam Page.
Well, the real question is, does Tony Khan finally believe that the Jon Moxley Championship as a bad guy was garbage, because that's what we all think.
Mm-hmm.
So if he thinks it's garbage, finally, these promos that Hangman has been pumping out truly does make us think this is the guy. Which, by the way, makes him only the third ever two-time AEW World Champion. Moxley, CM Punk, and Hangman.
Wow.
So when you think about it, he is the right guy to do it.
Yeah.
But does Tony Khan, who literally licks the butthole of certain people, John Moxley, Mercedes Moné, what does he think? I don't. No, not JR. He might make JR talk about it. He's licking the butthole right now of these specific characters.
You mean to tell me you could stick your tongue right in there and not work the edges? What kind of crap is that?
Can't believe you could just walk out the door. I'm losing my voice. I can't really do it. Just walk out the door and not be able to go through that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the serious thing, though, is that, like, is Tony ready to give up on this bullshit storyline that none of us believe in? Because Hangman has finally done something that none of the other competitors did, and make us think that he's believable.
Yeah. Hopefully so, man. Like, if it's as crap as it making it sound like it is, and I have no reason to doubt it. That's the one thing Adam Page has always been good at. He's been good at hyping up a match, and whether I think his big issue has been, is he believable over time as a he's a believable as a contender, is he believable as a champion? That's two different things. But I
agree.
Maybe third time's a charm. Maybe it's time for him to give it a shot.
It's funny because everybody realized that he wasn't ready to win the world championship the first time he went after it.
Right.
That's why they gave it to Jericho. Right?
Right.
The second time, they were like, who else we got? Give it to him. This time, that Magnum TA motherfucker looker has gotten people behind him. He even had where he looked at his ultimate nemesis in the fucking face and sat there and said to him, he said, you did this to me. And he said, you burned down my house. And he said, I know. And he said, you deserved it. And the other guy said, I know. Like,
yeah.
How else do you sit there and get over as a good guy besides having the bad guy admit, I know I deserved you burning down my house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I deserved it. So we're at the point where the two of us have to sit there and say whether or not we think Hangman wins this match.
I would love to say yes, but knowing Tony Khan, it's hard to tell. My heart says yes, my head says no. So which one do I go with?
You tell me.
I'll go ahead and take. I'll take Paige. I'll take Paige. See what happens.
I will too. But I have another question.
Okay.
And then we can wrap up tonight.
All right.
If Adam Page does not win, do you care going forward?
No, I don't care about AEW at all anyway. I'm not invested in any way. I wish I could say yes or no. Adam Page winning is not going to make me tune in because I know who's behind the product. And as long as that behind the product, to me, there's really no reason to follow it. You know who I would like to see? Daddy Magic. That guy is money, and I would love to see that guy in a bigger, more prominent role. I love that
saying,
guy.
Are you saying Fat Matt Hardy?
Oh, he's more than that.
Fat Matt Hardy? Is that you're talking about? You're talking about Matt Menard?
Yeah, that guy's
Fat
amazing.
Matt Hardy.
No, he's more than that. He's more than being a Fat Matt Hardy. Come on,
Dude.
Once you get a taste,
he's been Fat Matt Hardy since I first saw him.
oh yeah. There's a lot of reasons on that roster to want to watch AEW.
All right. I want to go ahead and say this. I am taking, just because I hate Jon Moxley's character right now, I'm taking Adam Page in that match. But because you brought him up, Fat Matt Hardy actually runs to and from the ring like Matt Hardy does now. And he isn't even half his age.
He's got charisma, man. He's got charisma. He's got charisma. Yes, he does. I would pay to watch him run like old Fat Matt Hardy. Absolutely. I was going to say.
I will say this right now. I would actually meet him. I would actually say, Matt Menard, are you upset that I call you Fat Matt Hardy? I would say that to his face.
He would probably.
And he'd probably be like, move to the back of the line.
Nah, I think he'd roll with it.
I mean, he even goes to the ring the same way that Matt Hardy does.
He may come back and say, "What are you talking about, midget Sheamus?"
Ooh. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you ever heard this story. I went to a SmackDown taping. There's a little kid sitting next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Sheamus came out. And I said, "There's my brother." The kid turns, looks at me, and he goes, oh. And he goes, "Are you really related to him?" I was like, "Absolutely." He goes,
"Yeah.
Why don't you have an accent?"
Different mothers.
I was like, he decided to go overseas. I stayed here.
Yeah.
And this was while Sheamus was a bad guy. So of course I'm cheering for him. And the kid's like, boo. And I would just look at him and he'd be like, yay.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, man.
We're like second deck up. And he's like, Sheamus couldn't get you better seats. I'm like, I'm like, he doesn't like me that much. Seriously, I had to sell it the entire time, you know?
That's fantastic. Yeah. AEW has a lot of great people on their roster. There's a lot of reasons to want to watch. There's a lot of opportunity there, and it's all squandered by the person who's doing the decision making. So that's the unfortunate thing. Otherwise, I'd watch. I was excited for AEW when it first premiered, when it first came on, but it didn't take long for me to fall out of it.
I mean, you met Jeremy. You met Jeremy Whitley. Like Jeremy Whitley and I have actually been to AEW pay-per-views together.
Yeah,
You know, it's crazy to think where they are.
yeah,
This weekend, seriously though, it truly has the ability, and there's probably going to be 4 more matches announced this weekend, or at least that those casino battle royals are going to become even bigger, right? But they have the ability to make them like the entire thing seem like something special. And
right.
and AEW has the ability to make the entirety of this pay-per-view the start of something new. And
Yeah.
if they continue with the and I want to say this fairly, because I do think that there's a way that you continue with Toni Storm as your women's world champion. Like, her character's one of the best characters in all of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, timeless Toni Storm is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Having Luther and everything else even amplifies it. So I didn't think there was a way that you would get through this and have the same world champions on both sides. But now, based on how they've been going with the Women's World Championship, I could see Toni Storm winning.
Mm.
And by the way, I've been saying that Mercedes Moné needs to lose since she went up against Athena, who is the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, who, besides her loss now to Mercedes, hadn't lost a single match in over 2 years.
Right.
Like, if anybody was going to beat Mercedes Moné, it should have been Athena.
Yeah.
It would have actually justified your Ring of Honor brand. But then you fuck that up because you're fucking Tony Khan. Like, you're literally like, well, I paid $3 million for a year. I need to make sure she wins all matches. She needs to break Jade Cargill's 67 matches in a row. Nobody gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that right now she goes, I'm the greatest TBS champion of all time. Bullshit, bitch. You've only got half as many matches as Jade Cargill. Might have had it longer,
Right.
but that's because Tony Khan doesn't force you to wrestle as often.
Right.
No wonder Jade Cargill left.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, if any of this sounds like I'm just beating a dead horse.
Preach to the choir, brother. I can't think of a single thing to counteract you or to create a dynamic conversation where we're arguing with one another.
I'm just personally tired of the Mercedes Moné conversation.
Right.
She does nothing for me. She's whenever she, you know what? She seems like anytime she gets to the point where you think that she's finally special, she's the injured Shawn Michaels during the whole Lost Smile time. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I can't deal with that. I hate it.
Well, it's like how did she leave WWE in the first place? She wasn't happy with what she wasn't happy with the creative. and she has now proven that she's the kind of person that will pitch a fit and walk out when she doesn't get her way. Sometimes
Well, and
it's the right.
remember, this is the same woman that actually like laid down in the locker room and threw a fit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sometimes it's the right move. Sometimes it isn't. But she just, I don't think it helps her cause either that she comes across like as in reality as a entitled, arrogant person.
She really does come across as somebody who doesn't care whether or not you buy her shit or not if she's on the cart.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know. Like
Well, she's the number one, the number one Mercedes Monet mark in the world is Mercedes Monet. Period.
100%. 100%. Not even her cousin Snoop Dogg.
Nope. Not even Tony.
Well, Tony's number 2. Snoop Dogg might be number 3.
Right. But number one is occupied by the one and only.
Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to say number 1 is Tony Khan.
But that's only going to last so long. He does fall out of love with people.
He does, but she's been there a year and a half now.
Yeah.
And
he's been happy to show her off to all these other federations.
I mean, but she only wins in those.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah, I'll lend her out for the night as long as she brings back a belt.
So as long as she keeps doing that, why would he ever go? Well, they seem to agree with me. She's definitely awesome. Let's keep going. Let's keep going with that. Junior, I'll tell you what. We've been talking pro wrestling for a while, right?
Yep.
Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about other stuff going on with you?
Yeah. Well, currently working on Dreadmutt number 2. If you want to get Dreadmutt number 1, go out to your local comic book shops, ask for it. If they don't have it, ask them to order. Can they still order it? Can they still make orders of Dreadmutt number 1?
So if they can't get it from their local comic shop, here's the cool shit. You can get it from the keenspotshop.com, right where you see on your screen right now.
Yep. Yeah, go order it. And hell, if you even prove that you ordered it, you want to send me a notification, I may send you something. I don't know.
Well, even crazier than that, if you just reach out to him on Instagram or whatever. Same with me. If you want us to draw on your cover, just go on there, pick out which cover you want.
Mm-hmm.
We'll draw on it. We'll send it to you.
Yeah. Listen, free remarks for anybody that wants to buy, goes out there and picks up a copy in the wild. Be more than happy to facilitate that. And
free.
Well, they'll have to pay to ship it to me, but I will pay to ship it back to them. I got no problem with that.
But if someone sits there and requests directly from one of us or both of us, you can request it. We can go ahead, do the remark, but you might have to sit there and pay us for it.
Yeah, but we really do want to emphasize go pick it up at a comic book shop. Support your local comic book shops. Let your local comic book shop know that this is a book worth having. Tell all your friends if you dig it. Tell your comic book friends. Tell your movie friends. My hope is that this is a book that can transcend, just comic book fans, but maybe even catch some movie fans. Action movie fans, if they like JCVD, if they like Steven Seagal, if they like Chuck Norris, and Bolo Young and all the goodness that was in
Oh,
the late 80s.
Young.
Telling you, baby, if they like Bloodsport, if they like Kickboxer, if they like Lionheart, if they like, Under Siege, if they like all that stuff, our hope is that will translate to people. If they like Cobra, you name it, that's the target demographic we're going for. Other than that, you can follow my artwork on Instagram at Drawn by Junior. You can follow my apparel decorating business at Angry Lemonade on Instagram. You can also follow it both on, they're both the same on Facebook as well. And then if you want to check out some of the stuff that we got going on in the shop, angrylemonade.net is where you're going to be able to find it. And there eventually will be Dreadmutt and other comic book property merch available there coming up.
Man, he nailed that. So for those of you trying to figure out where to reach me and everything else, Pochak, Rob Pochak, at Rob Potsy Pochak, all of those should be my handles. He's absolutely right. Trying to get people to sit there and look at his Angry Lemonade stuff. I assume there's going to be some Dreadmutt stuff there on his website here shortly, if not already. And
Not yet. It's coming.
But I do also want to thank BJ Kicks from Comics Are Dope for putting on the Dreadmutt hat and letting everybody know that it was something that he thought was dope.
Yeah.
So hung out with him, his daughter, at my signing this weekend or this week. And he knows it's a good book. So I'll let him talk about it himself, but everybody else, check out Dreadmutt. It's good. We like it. We love it. We want some more of it.
That's right.
But on top of that, the book actually is solid. I love the fact that Junior actually said that my cover has been selling pretty well.
You have.
I like telling everybody.
That's very difficult for me to admit, by the way.
I love telling everybody that the artwork from the A cover is exactly what the book looks like on the inside. And that's what makes people sit there to me and go, I want that one too. And I've sold, just so you know, I've sold almost equal A and B covers. But, folks, Tino should be back next week. I know Junior looks almost like him, just a little bit clearer. It's like he took Clearasil. I'm kidding. Anyways, with that said, like I said, Pochak, Rob Potsy Pochak, all of those. Follow us. Follow Tino on Blue Sky and all the other shit. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the button is to end the show.
Sucks when it floats around, doesn't it?
It does. It's when you know you have a good program to do it, is when it floats around.
Yeah.
But you never want to end the show. Anyways, folks, thanks so much. We love you. See you next week. And listen to the new theme song. Here we go.
Ready? Ownership insurance in the Potsy and Tino.
For the Potsy and Tino show.
Thanks for watching.
Monday night, it's time to go. Turn on the screen with the good time shows. Wrestling life and who knows what. If it's cool or weird, they're talking it up. It's the Potsy It's the Potsy and Tino show, breaking it down with the pop culture glow. News, reviews, and a story or two. You never know what they're gonna do. So comment, subscribe, and like. It's time to roll with Potsy and Tino.